MeidasTouch Network, eh-yah report, withdrawal from the WHO, silencing the CDC, NIH, and FDA, silencing facts and science. Hello, I'm Dr. Haydee Brown.
And I'm Dr. Sonya Sloan.
And we are eh-yah. eh-yah. Black and brown women disruptors in healthcare and beyond. Let's get to it.
And as we begin this episode, let us discuss this new administration. We want to acknowledge something, the elephant in the room, if you will, that we are at a moment of time and right now that is perilous implications, and we don't know what the impact is going to be. As Trump has now become the 47th president of the United States, we are moving away from certain things with all of these new executive orders he just recently signed, specifically DEI, that no federal agencies can have this. And we're now moving into businesses also disrupting their DEI. But case in point, one of the biggest implications that America's health is on the chopping block. Let's watch the video.
I said, I can live with most of them. They took a very safe route. They don't have any bad ones up there.
Withdrawing from
what is this one?
Withdrawing from the World Health Organization.
Ooh, that's a big one.
And so, Dr. Brown, here we are in this new administration and all of the impact that it does have. What do you think?
Taking another breath. On January 20th, right? This 2025, this new administration signed an executive order formally withdrawing the United States from the World Health Organization. Now, this marks the second attempt by the U.S. to exit the Global Health Agency, which is citing concerns over handling of the COVID-19 pandemic and perceived financial imbalances, particularly in comparison to China's contributions. And we're going to put up this great chart that shows the largest fund contributors to the World Health Organization. Yes, the United States is number one, but boop, boop, who's there? Number two, China. China is the second large contributor to the World Health Organization. So this decision actually carries far-reaching implications, including diminished U.S. influence in shaping global health policy and potential disruptions in critical health initiatives and partnerships worldwide. So let's just take a step back. What is the World Health Organization, right? The World Health Organization, the WHO, is a global agency that promotes health, ensures safety, and supports vulnerable populations worldwide. Headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland, the WHO has 194 member states minus one and operates over 150 offices across 6 regions. So since its founding in 1948, the WHO has made a significant global impact. Its successes include the eradication of smallpox, a dramatic reduction in polio cases, the creation of the international health regulations, which helps guide global disease control, and leading efforts to raise awareness and improve treatment access for HIV/AIDS. So the WHO's work continues to shape global health policies and practices. But as of day one, the current president requested to formally withdraw from the WHO. And in 2020, 45/47 similarly cosplayed with leaving the WHO, but former President Biden was able to reverse that decision on his initial days in office. However, this new executive order that was released on day one can result in the true withdrawal from the WHO because the WHO actually requires a 1-year notification, which happened 2 days ago. And so here we are. Dr. Sloan, what do you think about all this?
Dr. Brown, I'm just at a loss for words at this point. I'm fatigued, of course, but we're in it for the long haul, right? So to all my healthcare professionals, my nurses, my doctors, those of the medical professionals that have worked through COVID, we're about to deal with some new outbreaks, things that are unknown origins that are going to impact the United States and the world and possibly cause a lot more devastations and death. So let me be clear, you've been warned. A recent article this week by Reuters, the United States departure is likely going to put a lot of programs at risk in this organization. According to several experts, both inside and outside of the World Health Organization, notably those that deal with TB, tuberculosis, the world's biggest infectious disease killer, as well as HIV and AIDS, and a lot of other health emergencies like COVID. So this raises serious concerns about the future of global health, but specifically American health. And so just when we thought it couldn't get any worse, today we see a clip from Dr. Eric Ding that read, Trump White House has blocked all CDC science reports and suspended all CDC, FDA, and NIH external communications of all HHS agencies until further notice, including all FDA and CDC health alerts, warnings, and all of their social media. Public health be damned. And so the Trump administration has now instructed these federal agencies to stop communications, including scientific reports, website updates, health advisories, and as a part of a broader effort to restructure the health sector. This move raises serious concerns about the potential impact for our public health and safety in the United States. The directive issued on this Tuesday, to the CDC, the FDA, and the NIH threatens to disrupt the flow of critical health information in the public, undermining the preparedness for health emergencies. So Stephanie Spear is the new deputy chief staff for the HHS, the former press secretary for RFK Jr. As you guys know, he's coming in to be delivered by this order, but because Kennedy, he's Trump's nomination, he has not been confirmed yet from the Senate. So these words can't come from him, but this is what's on the cusp right now. So efforts to obtain more clarification from Spear and the HHS and the White House have gone unanswered, of course, leaving a significant amount of questions and implications about the policy undressed. So the lack of transparency demands, I believe, immediate attention because we can't wait. You have to understand that just the change in power, we get that. We understand that, this new administration has to put their people into place, but how long is the pause? Because what happens in the meantime, if something happens tomorrow, an outbreak, and there's a lack of communications, and that time lapse is equivalent to losses of lives. Dr. Brown, what do you think?
Another deep breath. So, listeria outbreak, usually that notification comes from CDC or a similar federal government body. We won't know. There's an issue with milk from some farm. We're not going to know because they are not allowed to communicate with us, which means that people will be exposed to things that can increase their death or illness. And the government is not allowed to tell us. So just take a moment with that. As expected, the Trump presidency started with this flurry of executive orders, making true on these promises that he made to those constituents and his donors. And with all of these significant administrative changes that will indeed affect the health of the American people, there's nothing else that we can say, but it's horrible. Now, Biden did have the foresight to protect one individual who worked diligently during the COVID-19 pandemic to help the people, to help the population of the United States. Let's see this clip.
There are now preemptive pardons being issued by President Biden for those who were targeted during the campaign, received threats from Donald Trump.
This is a major development, a big last move, one of the last moves for President Biden. As you know, George, during the campaign, Donald Trump spoke about retribution. He and his supporters talked about prosecuting people like Anthony Fauci, members of the January 6th committee, Mark Milley, General Mark Milley, the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who Trump even suggested could face the death penalty. So President Biden has just issued preemptive pardons for all of them, saying, quote, These public servants have served our nation with honor and distinction and do not deserve to be targets of unjustified and politically motivated prosecutions. So again, this is Anthony Fauci, this is the committee members and staff of the January 6th committee, and this is General Mark Milley, also members of the Capitol Police who testified before the January 6th committee. At the end of this statement announcing these pardons, President Biden makes it clear this is not an admission of guilt. He says the issuance of these pardons should not be mistaken as acknowledgement that any individual engaged in any wrongdoing. He says what he is doing is protecting them from possible and, in some cases, threatened political prosecutions.
To be clear, we were in the beginning of a global pandemic that took over 1 million lives in the United States. And as the information and the knowledge grew, Dr. Fauci communicated that with us. The fact that he could be facing something criminal is ridiculous and something that we wouldn't expect necessarily to see in the United States. So on Monday, President Biden issued this preemptive pardon to, for these potential targets of this incoming Trump administration, which included Dr. Fauci, retired General Mark Milley, and lawmakers who also served on that January 6th committee. And Dr. Fauci responded. He said, "I really, truly appreciate the action President Biden has taken today on my behalf. Let me be clear, John, I have committed no crime. You know that. And there are no possible grounds for any allegation or threat of criminal investigation or prosecution of me." But Fauci said the threat and possibility of prosecution creates immeasurable and intolerable distress on me and my family. Dr. Sloan, this is incredibly, insanely absurd. However, it's not unexpected. What say you?
It's surreal. It's like we're living 1984, George Orwell's book, or maybe even Fahrenheit 451, because no one had this on their bingo card. No one saw this coming. Not only did Dr. Fauci, was his job? Yes, but he went above and beyond the call of duty. So I cannot believe we are witnessing the undoing of America by someone's personal agendas of controlling their superiority to Blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, gays, because of power, money, and greed. We are living in an oligarchy right now. And so I want to say, thank you to President Joe Biden as the 46th president of the United States, because possibly he is the last genuinely respectable man and ethically conscious president of this United States that we may ever see because of the powers that be that are in office now. So Dr. Brown, at this point, seriously, I just have to put it in God's hands because our faith is the only thing that's going to hold us. We can't keep quiet. We can't keep still, but we've got to keep going and keep fighting. I do believe that.
We are in the find out phase, right? We are in the find out phase.
Yeah.
We are seeing, the warnings from former Vice President Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party come to life. A more unfiltered, unguarded Trump administration is emerging, and the over 900-page Project 2025 document crafted by early presidential appointees is the blueprint. This is all designed to wear us down. Many celebrated the observed birthday of MLK Jr. with community service or other acts to benefit others. And I really leave it to Reverend Dr. King to say it best that, quote, "One of the great liabilities of history is that all too many people fail to remain awake through great periods of social change. Every society has its protectors of the status quo and its fraternities of the indifferent who are notorious for sleeping through revolutions. But today, our very survival depends on our ability to stay awake. So stay awake, guys."
In other words, stay woke, the real woke, the people that understand what the word actually means. So thank you for watching. There's always more to come, especially with this administration. We are eh-yah, contributors of the MeidasTouch Network, and we are proud members of Meidas Mighty. Please subscribe, like, share, and follow for more updates. Have a great week.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.